It is Saturday, the 7th of November, the year of our Lord 2020. From our nation's capital, we're live. You're in the war room. I want to thank all of our listeners, all of our viewers throughout the world for hanging in there. We had a DDoS attack for the first hour of the show. But we're going to continue 2 hours from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to get all 2 hours, and we've got so much going on. We're going to be cutting around the country to make sure that you're fully up to date on everything that's going on. I want everybody to take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Okay, we're good. We've won this, and we're going to close on this. Donald Trump's the greatest closer in American history. We're closing on this deal. We've won the deal. We're now going to close on the deal. Step one, you win. Step two, you close. Everybody take a deep breath. There's a lot going on this morning. For instance, there's going to be a live press conference that we're going to cut to. Rudy Giuliani is in Philadelphia. I think Corey may be with him. But Rudy Giuliani is going to walk through the lawsuit that they're going to file in federal court either this afternoon or tomorrow. As you know, during situations like this, the federal judges are available 24/7. You can literally go in 3 o'clock in the morning, which they should have done on Wednesday morning, right after the president's speech, got an injunction to slow things down. And let's find out, where all the cheating is as they try to steal this election. Remember, the reason we've been shut down everywhere, they do not want anybody to sit there and go, hey, guess what? We're not going to let this happen. And we commit to you that we're going to be on nonstop. And we get every distribution platform. We'll get in and out. You'll be able to get content. You'll be able to get this show. We're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. We're on the heroic Real America's Voice. The men and women out in Denver that do everything to help us co-produce this show. Rob Sigg, Howard Diamond deserve a real hat tip. John Solomon and the team over there in the investigative department. We're actually going to have Michael Patrick Leahy, one of their partners for the Star newspapers, have done this site to start to collate and curate all the cheating that's going on throughout the nation. Right, on a precinct-by-precinct basis, also do precinct analysis. They're working with some very senior people. Michael Patrick Leahy is going to be on here. Two things happening at 11 o'clock, and I want to make sure we got our fingers on the trigger here. They're going to announce an announcement coming out of Maricopa County. We're going to try to go to Ben, our reporter out there with Real America Voice, as soon as we can. Ben Bergwam, who's been fantastic. We're going to try to go to Ben as soon as we do. But we also got Boris Epstein and others. I think, and we're going to have Richard Barris of Big Data Polling. Rich is going to be at the bottom of the hour. Michael Patrick Leahy is going to be on. We're going to be bringing in people throughout the country to talk about Michigan, the machine situation out there, talk about what's going on in Pennsylvania. We're going to get an update in Georgia. Talk about the military ballots. Jack Maxey is going to end up being the hero. Overnight, all I heard about was these provisional ballots. And it's one of the reasons the Supreme Court, Jack Maxey got the attention of Alito. Supreme Court ruled last night, which you wouldn't hear this. CNN put it down on a chyron. Supreme Court, enters the fray, and then all of a sudden they dropped it. And the reason was a big victory to make sure that all the stuff that came in after the election is totally segregated and make sure that somehow there's going to be these provisional ballots. And look, I'm hearing there could be 100,000, 200,000 provisional ballots. Nobody knows. That's for saying, what's the rush to judgment here? You guys on the left are all about having election season. Hey, how about this? Let's have election season. MSNBC, I buy into your commercial now, okay? And the reason is we got to unwind this. Remember, the purpose of these lawsuits and with all the poll watching everything is to get into federal court, make sure we take a timeout. Let's get in there, start reviewing this thing. But it's a thing called discovery. Here's the thing. They say, it's hearsay, it's circumstantial. Well, hey, you don't know till you get in there and look at it. But I will tell you, I've talked to some of the top hedge fund guys in the world who do this for a living. And they're saying the mathematical probability that you had this many ballots that just had Joe Biden on there listed and nothing else, and particularly in battleground states. And then we do the correlation between Trump and the Senate candidates throughout the country and then Biden and the Senate candidates and everything about these key states. It just beggars belief. Also, Jack Maxey, my wingman, by the way, so Fog City Midge, Maggie Vanderberg, is on a conference call now. She's on a conference call getting tons of new information. She's going to be joining us. We have Jack Maxey. Raheem Kassam is actually up still in Philadelphia. We've got guys all over the country to report this. So everybody take a deep breath. We're here today to give you data. We're here to walk you through the legal. We're here to show you how Donald J. Trump and the Trump movement is going to close on the deal that they want. You won the deal on the 3rd of November. We're going to close the deal. And I don't care if Twitter takes us down. I don't care if Facebook takes us down. I don't care what anybody takes us down. You'll get this content. They can't stop this, right? They can't stop our streaming service, and they can't stop us. They're going to try, but they can't. And the reason is they can't handle the truth. Okay? We're just going to give them truth every day. If they could handle it, they would say, fine, let these guys talk. Let these guys do what they want. Let them be out there. Talk to us about the individual that's you've been bringing up all morning, Jack, that's been tweeting out. What can you read these tweets and put this in a framework?
I will. A guy named Tariq Nasheed. He's a very popular guy. I mean, he's won something called Foundational Black American. He's not particularly a fan of President Trump or the MAGA movement, but he's obviously a thoughtful guy. And he's calling out the Democratic Party right now. He says he thinks that they're trying to blame all this on Black America. He knows that there have been some shenanigans going on, and I'm going to read you some of the things that he said. Notice how hesitant they are to call this election. That's because they know it was some shady stuff going on with them ballots. And when they call the election, some BS might go down. That is why white liberals are pushing black people out in the forefront of this. If we're going to keep it 100%, it looks like the Democrats might have pulled some type of finesse with this election. The problem is white liberals have a history of doing deceptive moves, then making black people the face of the con. So when there's a backlash, it's all going to fall on us. This is over and over again. And what we're seeing here, and we spoke about this yesterday, and it's very important because this is a movement that does not care about your color, does not care about who you're in love with. It cares about the fact that you are a citizen of these United States. And because of that, you're a shareholder in this. And now what I want everybody in these urban cities to understand is that you made some decisions here. We know that 20% of African-American males came out and said they were going to be for President Trump. Well, guess what? You got punked by a bunch of liberal women coming into your towns trying to change the vote, and you're getting punked by your own community. So I think it would be very encouraging for a lot of people in these areas to come forward because your vote matters too, man. Everybody's vote matters, and it's very clear that in some of these urban areas they have manipulated the vote, and this is being seen from people who are not allies of the president. This is just simple logic.
So right there, you have a guy he does not want African Americans or blacks to be the face of the con, and he's absolutely correct. That's why you got to get discovery. You got to get in here. Hey, if they're so sure of this, why are they trying to rush it to judgment? And last night I got to tell you, Joe Biden, who's totally illegitimate, and it'll be, he's totally illegitimate. He's not going to be president, but if he was, be illegitimate presidency. And here's why they took down our Twitter feed. They didn't take down a Twitter feed for a figure of speech like put their heads on pikes. I've been saying put their heads on pikes. If that was it, they should have taken all my stuff down when I was in the White House. You should use the Oval all the time. Let's go put their heads on pikes, right? It's a term of art. It's a figure of speech. It's not literal. Right, we were talking about St. Thomas More the day before and all that. It's a joke. Here's why they're taking it down, ladies and gentlemen. Here's why they're taking it down. Because Jack Maxey, this is where we dumped 1,000 pieces of evidence of the Biden family crime syndicate. And the Biden's family got to understand, we're not going to back off of you, okay? Why did I call for Ray to be fired? I called for Ray to be fired because he's had this hard drive since last December. And that's to protect the field being Bernie. If Ray had come forward, the neoliberal neocon Biden would have been put forward. And you see what a sham this is. Now you got was it Yang, and you got Bernie coming out and saying, hey, this party is really party of coastal elites. Duh. Where were you a year ago when all the coastal elites got together and backed Biden? You didn't have a peep then. Don't come out now and think, oh, you're going to get a seat at the table. That's what we're fighting for. 47% of the Hispanic and Latino population that voted for Donald J. Trump, right? Maybe the 20, as we get the numbers, maybe the 20% of the African American males. But you see Ice Cube, you see Lil Wayne, you see these other guys coming forward, economic nationalists talking about access to capital. Black Entertainment TV, the great founder of that, said there's nothing on the margins. The marginal benefit for the black community to continue to vote for the Democrats is zero. All we're fighting for here is the truth of this election. Let's get into discovery and let's see what went on in Pennsylvania. Let's see what went on in Michigan. Let's see what went on in Georgia. Let's get to the bottom of it. Hey, if you guys have won so overwhelmingly, and by the way, if you add up the numbers now, it's less than, I think, in total what we won in 2016. which you guys have just moaned about, and that was in 3 states, you just moaned about. So we've got new numbers coming out of Maricopa right now. We're going to get more details with Richard Barris. But right now, it looks like Pinal County came in 62.5 to 35.3 for Donald Trump. So Pinal County, okay, Trump netted out a couple thousand votes. Maricopa was 56-40. I think they're looking for 60. If you're 60 in Maricopa, I think that leads to a victory. It cuts through the thing, so we gotta do it. Apache County is still holding back 6,000, but it could eke this thing out. We're gonna get all the details. I'm reading this off my thing. If somebody's texting me from their announcement, all their this is the press conference today in Philadelphia with Rudy. It's not at the Four Seasons. It's at the Four Seasons Total Landscaping. Only Rudy. This is, hang on. He's man of the people. For all the elites at the New York Times and the Washington Post that are mocking him, he's a man of the people. He had the Four Seasons lined up, but he wanted to do it in the Four Seasons Total Landscaping. As soon as that's ready, we're going to go to the guys.
A man for all seasons.
A man for all seasons. In this case, a man for all total seasons. Okay. There's a lot going on. And if you're a Trump supporter, it's positive. Don't believe the negativity. Look at what reality is. These are a handful of votes in a bunch of different states. There's already things cropping up from a computer system, a computer software that flipped Trump 6,000 Trump votes to Biden votes in Michigan, and that's in 47 counties. They're going through county by county. That system's also used throughout the country, including in every battleground state. That's kind of no conspiracy, but there are also no coincidences, right? So you've got that going. Tom Fitton last night on Lou Dobbs' thing summed it up the best. We got to get to the bottom. If these are certifiable, verifiable, right, chain of custody votes, they must count. Okay, we're the first to say you must count. You must count everything that's certifiable, verifiable, chain of custody. Those votes must count. And if Trump loses in that regard, no matter how close, that's just the way our system is. That's the way the game's structured, okay? You can be in opposition and you can be in tough opposition. But until you get to the fact that these are verifiable, and look, statistically, right, is more than an anomaly. It's like cannot happen, impossible, an impossibility.
Well, you simply have to ask the basic question. How was it that Biden wins all these states but somehow doesn't win the Senate seat? A perfect example is Virginia, right? Virginia, there were 277,000 total votes for Joe Biden, and Qasim Rashid, the Democratic Senate candidate, had 96,000 votes, or had 181,000 votes. That's a separation of 96,000 people did not vote down ballot for the Democratic senatorial candidate.
I'm going to ask
the difference between Trump and Whitman, 2,000 votes.
2,000 votes. Okay, come on. I'm going to ask my producer, Dan. Producer Vish is out working on assignment right now, but producer Dan, by the way, we've cut this. We gained 9,000 votes in Arizona this morning. He's under, or just about, 20,000 votes in Arizona with more votes to be counted from Trump areas. Okay? Motion is progress. This is what we froze Fox News in place. They're not going to call it. You froze the Secretary of State of Pennsylvania. We've got a packed show with data, legal, all of it. We're going to be back in a second. My wingman, Jack Maxey, we're going to Raheem Kassam, all of it. Hang tight. We got this. Next on the War Room.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
We picked up 9,000 votes. We're going to get more details from Richard Barris of Big Data Polling. But listen, we picked up 9,000 votes in Arizona. Fox News. It's now just around 20,000 votes with more votes to come in. Okay? 9,000 votes. Brian Kennedy, a regular on the show, is en route to Phoenix right now. He's just landed. You got Boris Epstein out there. You got Matt Whitaker out there. We got a first team out there. Okay, so folks, in Arizona, you got folks. Down in Georgia, Nick Ayers and the team are down there, Jenny Beth Martin. You got the pros from Dover in Georgia. Rudy Giuliani, Corey Lewandowski in Philadelphia. Rudy's going to be giving a press conference. As soon as I get word from Denver, we're going to cut to Rudy's press conference. Rudy's going to lay out the case. He's going to start to lay out the arguments. It's all about discovery, right? You're going to have some affidavits. You're going to have some stuff with people. So, yeah, that's going to get us in the room, and then we're going to start getting discovery. You're going to start seeing about these statistical anomalies, okay? The reason they're throwing fits, where's your evidence? Where's your evidence? They want to keep you from discovery. They want to keep you from discovery, right? They want to keep you from discovery. They're not going to be able to keep you. You saw the Supreme Court last night. Supreme Court Alito said, separate the ballots, Secretary of State. Separate the ballots. My wingman, Jack Maxey, has been banging on this table since Wednesday. Where are the provisional ballots? Provisional ballots all happened yesterday. Well, how come there's no mention? How come there's nothing on the Secretary of State? It was Jack Maxey in this show talking about it constantly that finally got him to fess up. Why does it take to Friday afternoon or Friday night? Remember, the provisional ballots are all done on Wednesday. That's why they're provisional. Why does it take that to happen? These people are going to hide. They're going to lie. They're going to steal. And hey, I don't care. Zuckerberg can take us down. Jack Dorsey can take that. You're going to have your day of judgment. You're going to have your day of judgment, right? We got a legal system here. We're going to go through we're going to go through the whole thing. So who do I got? I got. I got to get. I want him, but I got to get. I tell you what. Let's take him right now. Michael Patrick Leahy of the Star newspapers. Michael, do I have you there?
I'm here, Steve. Great to be with you, and a very important phone number for everybody in these battleground states to write down. We have a tip line for election irregularities: 615-747-1500. 615-747-1500. You're right. This is a delay game on the part of the Democrats. They don't want discovery. They don't want us to look into election irregularities. They're playing out the clock. December 12th is the magic day when all of the electors are supposed to meet in the state legislatures. And so they want to run out the clock so that all of the allegations of fraud are not explored between now and then.
Yeah, but so what they want to do, though, is they want to get to this phony. They want to have Associated Press. What they'd really like to do is have Fox News call it today on Pennsylvania or Georgia or Arizona.
Yeah.
They want to have Fox News because then they think all the people that breathe through their mouths are going to be fine because Fox News is going to pat them on the head and is going to be fine. And look, I've been a huge supporter of Fox News for many, many decades, right? And the great work and the great team over there. Got a lot of friends over there, a lot of people I think the world of. But we are in a situation we're in. The networks are looking for Fox. So here's what we've done today. With sites like yourself, which is you've got a data analysis. You and Solomon are going to also be looking precinct by precinct about what went on. But in addition, there's going to be a tip line. There's going to be a tip line. For right now, at 11:15 on Saturday, the 7th of November, the audience here has to understand something. You've already performed in a major function. You have frozen in place. We have Fox frozen. We have the Secretary of State of Pennsylvania frozen. We got actors, at least for right now, frozen. And in freezing them, we were able to take action. Rudy's going to walk up there, and as soon as it goes live, we'll pull it. He's going to talk about a massive lawsuit that's going to be filed either this afternoon or tomorrow in federal court. Okay? You've got you got Brian Kennedy, other guys show up in Arizona to now start to be able to present the case. We got 9,000 votes better in this latest dump coming out of Maricopa and Pinal County with more votes, and particularly on what I'm told are precincts that should be Trump favorable. Okay? In Georgia. There, it's a couple of thousand votes. You're talking about a handful of votes, a couple of thousand votes either way, right? And this is without getting into discovery in discovering where not just poll workers, but principally like where these hundreds of thousands of Biden-only votes. A no fan of Tariq. What's the name of the guy?
Tariq, he's a very popular guy. I mean, he's thoughtful too. And one of the things that he said, I thought that also was very important. He said, when you're looking at these battleground states, we were told for months and months that the backbone of support for Joe Biden was going to be in these suburban areas with white women voting overwhelmingly for Biden. And he points out, he goes, that's not where the support seems to be. Somehow the support seems to be in black urban areas. And he also points out, he goes, let's face it, Black Americans just don't roll that way with Joe Biden. And I think that's true. The idea that Joe Biden outperformed Barack Obama across the country is ridiculous.
Okay. I've got breaking news from Pennsylvania. I want everybody to take a deep breath and absorb this. One of the senior officials, we'll be able to put names on this later, one of the senior officials in Montgomery County sent a formal letter to the Secretary of State about things that were going on and irregularities in their district and others. They have not received a response. The reason is they're stalling. We've frozen these people in place right now. We are back. I'm telling you right now, we are back in the fight in Pennsylvania. We're back in the fight in Arizona. We're in the fight in Georgia. They're too gutless to call North Carolina. They said we all got to wait to the 12th. It's a handful of votes out there. Heck, Texas had less things than North Carolina. You could call North Carolina. They don't want psychological warfare. They don't want anything to go up on Trump's tote board. In Nevada, they filed a criminal complaint with 30. They said it was going to be 10,000. They have 3,500 already. People are going through and scouring the birthdays. Listen, we got this, okay? We're going to have really great lawyers on this. These are going to be lawsuits that people are going to be proud that are filed. The Democrats are going to start trashing. They're going to start taking it. Listen, if they weren't afraid, why are they shutting down all social media? Why are they taking the president's stuff down? If they were so sure of their overwhelming victory here, if they were so confident about this, why would they be doing this? Michael Patrick Leahy, tell us, what is this site? When are you and Solomon going to get the precinct by precinct analysis? And how can people throughout the country help you?
Well, Steve, we're working on this right now. The site, election2020unmasked.com. Election2020unmasked.com does two things. It's a single repository for all of the stories about election integrity, and is there fraud going on? We're working with a number of journalistic organizations. Right now, as we speak, we have dozens of journalists on the phone going precinct by precinct in key battleground states to say, you're listed as having voted. Did you really vote? And so we'll have those results over the next couple of days. So we're going to be reporting that. And but people out there in the listening audience, the very best thing you can do, if you're in one of these states, if you've seen an election irregularity, call our tip line right now, 615-747-1500. That's the thing to do.
So let's give that number again. It is the tip line. If you saw any irregularities, give the number again.
615-747-1500, 615-747-1500. We will follow up on every tip of election irregularity. This is a race time. We've got a little over a month to document what actually happened. We will report exactly what happened in every instance, Steve.
Michael Patrick Leahy, I've worked for this guy for over 10 years, one of the founders of the Tea Party movement, a Harvard and Stanford grad. You don't get many of those doubles. Just a brilliant guy, and a guy that does not chase his tail. The Star newspapers, how do they get to your website to go to all the great news you're breaking every day at the Star newspapers?
Just go to TennesseeStar.com, and you can connect to the Tennessee stories. And we've got the Ohio Star, we've got the Michigan Star, the Minnesota Sun, the Ohio Star. And Steve, we just might launch another title in, Georgia. Just might do that.
Just randomly. You already got the Virginia one with John Fredericks. Okay, Michael, thank you very much. You're an American hero.
Great to be with you, Steve.
Action, action, action. Everybody in this audience, take a deep breath, say a prayer, and get your resolve, get your spine down. Just get focused. There's tons of work to do. I know you want to do work. There's tons of work. First off, you can be pushing out all these stories. Our podcast, go to it, download it, push all of our stuff up. But it's just not about us. We're trying to collate everything that's out there. So just be pushing media all day long, making sure all your friends know about this. This has to be an honest election. We have to represent to the world of what went on here. We have to be a witness to this. Okay, and we're doing it.
And we have instruction from our founding fathers that is clear as to what our obligations are. You have George Washington, truth will ultimately prevail where is pain to bring it to light. And then from Samuel Adams, one of the great firebrands of our founding, he says the liberties of our country, the freedom of our civil constitution are worth defending against all hazards, and it is our duty to defend them against all attacks. Samuel Adams.
Breaking news: CNN off of the CNN jumped the gun here. They just called it. This is even better. CNN just called it. Maggie, is that what they did?
That's what I'm seeing on Twitter just now.
Okay. You know why? They could not take the heat. Rudy gets up there, does the lawsuit. They've been waiting for Fox. They're waiting for the. The only news that came out today was negative news from them. Arizona shrinks, right? Arizona shrinks. We've got precincts out there. We know Trump precincts. More votes have come in. There's confusion out there right now because I talk to people for hours a day on the ground that they don't know about the provisional ballots. You know, Jack Maxey's resonating throughout the country. Everybody's saying, well, where in the hell are the provisional ballots? Where are they counted? You know, how many? And I heard somebody said, hey, there could be up to 100,000 provisionals in Arizona. They don't know if they've already counted in the group or not counted a group. A lot of people are looking at Justice Alito's ruling or declaration last night to keep these things separated. Okay, it's even better. Now we got CNN we can prove wrong. Dewey beats Truman, so CNN says. Okay, we're going to be back in a moment.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back. Right when Rudy Giuliani starts laying out the case, CNN and BBC get a little jiggy, and they've called it for Joe Biden. That's even better. CNN announces this morning at 11:31, Dewey beats Truman. Okay? Dewey beats Truman from CNN. Dewey beats Truman from BBC. So a day will live in infamy for those two networks. Donald Trump won this on the 3rd. We're going to close this. We got a lawsuit being explained by Rudy. We're going to go in a minute. Got Richard Barris, the rock star from Big Data Polling. Richard, go through right now. They're saying because of Pennsylvania. I don't know anything happened. Tell me what happened in Pennsylvania that they had to jump up this morning. Right, they had to Bigfoot Rudy's press conference to announce this and start high-fiving and crying on the set and everything like that. What is in Pennsylvania right now? Since Jack Maxey's provisional ballots are going to be a couple 100,000, we can't even find. So what's going on?
Allegheny County, they still had some in Philadelphia, but that really is kind of irrelevant until we know the lawsuit and we know the how this pans out. There aren't enough votes if that was to go there against them. There aren't enough votes anyway to overtake. I mean, CNN, this reminds me of a Gore, Florida moment, only a bit in reverse. You know, they did that a little bit early. Now they're trying to race for it. I still think, and I'll tell you guys, I'll say it again, they're waiting on Fox News to do that. Fox refused to do it, so they just got antsy because of they cannot wait forever for these court cases to play out. So they gave Fox until today. I said that yesterday on the show, and here we go. We're in for a bumpy ride.
No, but here's why they did it. Is they don't want to. They want to show that the president's a sore loser and the president is just suing after the fact. Yeah. Remember, CNN calling anything, BBC calling has absolutely no standing. It's not. It's irrelevant. The only thing that's relevant for is the information warfare and the media narrative. Right now, Mitt Romney, Mittens, is on, I think, 5 or 6 shows tomorrow. He's doing a full Ginsburg, a guy who announced he wasn't voting for the president, has been anti-Trump from the beginning. He's doing a full Ginsburg and doing full coverage. And we're going to find out who from the campaign, who from the White House is going to be on to counter him. But he's going to be on, and he's going to be the great statesman. You got to roll over, etc. We're still very much in this fight. Walk us through the math in Pennsylvania as it stands. And remember, the anomaly here, you got to get in. There's been tons of irregularities. The Secretary of State has not wanted to respond to anything. She's frozen in place. We froze Fox in place, and nobody in the right will not consider this legit, right? While Fox is frozen in place and did not go first, right? Because they kind of blown their credibility on Arizona, which we had a great news out of. Before I turn to Arizona, walk me through Pennsylvania, where we actually stand as we speak.
So about 34,000 votes in the state of Pennsylvania. That is it. And there are a little bit more out in the southeast. Philadelphia has some ballots left, so they claim anyway. And let me scroll up so you guys can see that. And Allegheny is in. It's basically in. There are some ballots out there, but it's in. everybody who knows Pennsylvania knows a Republican candidate's got to stay at about 38% in Allegheny. He's not going below 38%. So he's right where he needed to be if you look at the totality of the state. It's really all about what they do with these ballots over here. And really, the issue with some of the lawsuit, and you got Rudy coming on, I'm not a lawyer, but that just doesn't apply. The same procedural issues that they have doesn't just apply to Philadelphia. So 34,000 ballots is really nothing, especially when you take into consideration provisionals, which everybody, including Kornacki, believes will be favorable to Trump. So they just jumped the gun here because it's an area.
Sure.
It's not numbers.
Remember, even in their chyron, it's projected to be the President of the United States. CNN has no standing, right? CNN has no standing. AP, Associated Press, has no standing. This is the Constitution's a contract, and there are remedies in that contract for situations of this. And all we're doing is going to the contract. That's what these lawsuits are going to be in federal court. And right now, I'm hearing, hey, 100,000 provisional ballots are north in Pennsylvania. They can't even answer that question, right? We don't know if they've been mingled, they've been separated. Alito said, hey, I want everything full stop. Everything that came in after 8 p.m., I think on November 3rd, I want full stop. I want separation. So it's your opinion, Richard Barris, that CNN jumped the gun here because they wanted to get in front of Rudy, the president's lawsuit, and good news coming out of, they wanted to Bigfoot the good news coming out of Arizona, correct?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
This is good. We got him nervous. Let's go to Arizona. You called this last night, but I want to go back to what you said and then what happened here. Walk us through where we are in Arizona and what happened.
Right. So we got this dump at about 11 a.m. We're waiting, or 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're waiting for more out of Maricopa. Pinal has 22,000 votes left. The votes that came out of Pinal County today broke heavier for the president than we thought, so that's not bad. It's all about Maricopa, but the president won them 62.5 to 35.3. That was just about 7,000 votes. So he netted he netted a couple K out there. They have 22,000 ballots approximately left to count in that county. All right, and then there's La Paz, which still does have some vote out as well. These two, if the president wants to eke this thing out, these two have to counter about 6,000 ballots that they claim are left in Apache, but we don't know if they make it through the verification process yet, so we're waiting on that. And then Maricopa, the president needs really 56% roughly with the math now. He got it this morning in that first dump. That broke for him 56.4 to 40.8, so that was about 48,000 votes or so. So he netted almost 7,500 votes. So there are more out in Maricopa still, and that changed the equation because Pinal was a little bit bigger than I thought. So that changed the equation, but he got the dump he needed to keep it alive out there. Absolutely.
Who did? CBS. Of course, they're all
the president.
Fall.
He got
they're
the
all going to fall in line now. They're all going to fall in line now.
Yeah, they're going to fall.
So here's the drill. Walk us through the raw. How much raw vote is left uncounted before provisionals? Remember, you don't even know where these provisionals are. Where is this? Where is all counted? How much? What's
This is about, I guess, with Pinal, there's more in there than I thought. So we're looking at like 180,000 at best guess right now. At best guess, because there was more in Pinal than I thought there was left. I thought we were only looking at about 10,000 ballots after this dump. They're telling me there's still about 21 and change, 21.8.
But last night we were down to 136, and you said there might be another 50. Guess 186. We had another dump this morning, and we're back up to 180. How do you get to the 180,000?
Because there was only about 20. Yeah. I know, it's crazy. Because of what was dumped out of Maricopa, that should have put us down about another 50,000 from what was estimated, but there's still 22,000 in Pinal. So if you count what's left in Apache, then that gets us right to that number. But those votes in Apache, by the way, apparently they are, we're not sure if they're going to make it or not. We'll see.
There was also some reporting this morning, Richard, that people were showing up with their provisional ballots in Maricopa County to drop them off on Election Day. And they were told by the people running the polls that they could not do that. They took their ballots away from them and forced them to fill out provisional ballots. And there are people coming forward about that this morning. And so far, none of that seems to be reflected in the Maricopa County numbers either. So I think there's more to come. And I encourage everybody to go out there and own your vote.
Okay, they got a major team.
Yeah, that wouldn't be in those numbers.
Walk us through. What? By the way, you said you thought it would take 61% of Maricopa County consistently for the president to be able to reverse this. We're at 56%. Does that concern you, that delta between the bid and the ask?
Yeah, that was overall statewide. So the remaining, not just Maricopa. That
Okay.
was the margin he needed overall.
Okay.
So when you have, he won some pretty big margins over the last 2 days, but he always had to stay in Maricopa at this point. He always had to stay in the 50s because we knew that vote that was out was red. And then what is in Maricopa now, from this point on, if the margin breaks the way it broke earlier this morning, then we're at the point of a coin flip. If it breaks a little bit higher, then it's headed his way. If it breaks a little less, it's going to be really close. If it's anything less than a majority, he wouldn't be able to take it, of course. But telling me you have 22,000 more in penal and he's winning in the 60s, that could buffer some of the shortfall. Depends how big these precincts are that come in with these margins, and that's a big problem with not knowing that stuff. But what we're told is that what's remaining in Maricopa is late suburban and rural. So we're not talking about Biden favorable vote. At least that's by all indications, that's what we're hearing.
Can we? I just want to go back for our audience. CNN called it, and then that broke the floodgate. BBC, CBS, NBC, all the mainstream media.
Yeah.
All the propaganda department of the Party of Davos. So don't get. Remember, you knew this was coming, so don't just hang in there. I want to go back for you as a pollster, you as a statistician, you as a big data guy. Make the argument right now of why CNN called this too early, giving all the uncertainty about the verification of this vote, from Georgia to Arizona to Nevada to all parts of Pennsylvania. What's the argument against calling this vote as they just called it?
Well, this is not the first election where we have anomalies and we have contests. So Al Gore took 31 days over one county in a single state. They gave him the benefit of the doubt with that. Now, that was a smaller number of votes, no doubt. But it's a different issue. We're talking about legal challenges that could have an impact on large numbers of votes.
But hang on, hang on 1 second. I just want to make sure to put it in perspective. They called it for Bush, and Gore conceded. He took that concession back, which remember, concessions have no legal standing. Calling it has no legal standing. This is the point people have to understand. Even in that fiasco, it was called for Bush. Gore conceded. Then some certain networks took it off. Others kept it on. But it still had a legal process. You still had a process. That process got fully adjudicated in Florida. Finally, the Supreme Court stepped in, and it made the Electoral College on the 14th of December, 31 days. We got plenty of time here until the tripwires of 6 December and the safe harbor of 8 December. We got plenty of time, and the president this is why there's a gap between when the vote is taken and when the vote has to be certified, according to the rules laid out in the Constitution. So you think right now that there's enough, here in Georgia, where we were supposed to wrap up last night, they still got votes coming in. They're still popping up. They got provisional ballots. They got military ballots. All of this, in all of this confusion, particularly when you're talking literally a couple thousand votes on either side, and how many weird statistical patterns exist, right, in these numbers, and how you have African Americans saying, "Hey, we're not going to be the face of the con here." Right? There's something suspicious about the percentage numbers for Joe Biden. Joe Biden is not Barack Obama, right? Joe Biden is not, quite frankly, a legendary, charismatic, a guy who would be historic, right? He's not. He's a cipher wandering around a car dealership up in Wilmington, Delaware. And last night, the thing was embarrassing. He also talked about radical change. He understands what's coming: climate change, the structure of our vote, all of it. It's radical change coming for an illegitimate president, an illegitimate presidency. So if that's what you want, then you buy into the CNN narrative. If that's not what you want, you got to buy into our narrative. Okay, Richard, we're going to come back. We want to talk about Nevada. We want to talk about some of the other states that are out there, and also get back your thoughts on CNN and the media apparatus calling this now and trying to basically use information warfare to crush the president and his movement and to steal this election. Maggie Vanderberg, Jack Maxey, Stephen K. Bannon, Richard Barris from Big Data Polling. We're going to return in just a second. 2 hours here today, americasvoice.news. Go there, that website right now. The streaming service is up. It's on cable. Go watch it. We're not backing off. We're now the 49th biggest podcast in the United States of America. Everybody go to the podcast. Go subscribe. Back to the morning.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back to War Room Pandemic. We are live on americasvoice.news. Also, other places, but go there. They've fought off a DDoS attack today to get us up. Really appreciate the guys in Denver doing that. We're in the War Room, nation's capital, live at Saturday, the 7th of November, 2020. Just a programming note, since we lost the ability to get up for the first hour at 10 o'clock. We started at 11, and we're going to stay through 1 p.m. So it's 11 to 1 today. We got a lot of breaking news. We got Richard Barris up here. CNN has called it for Biden. And obviously, it's been a lot of other networks have pounded in here, and so that has no legal standing. Remember, Rudy Giuliani, and it's interesting. They wanted to get in front of the president's announced lawsuit. That's why as soon as they knew this thing was scheduled at 11 o'clock, they dropped it right on top of what Rudy's talking about, and the good news we had it coming out of Maricopa County. So once again, Rich, I want to go back to you. Why is it, given there's all this chaos, there's all these ballots still coming in? There's all this discrepancy, not just of poll workers and software programs in Michigan and all this, but there's these major statistical discrepancies about these single vote Biden ballots, right? In addition, you've got provisional ballots. It's not no order and discipline right now in this, and you should be taking your time and going through this and making sure it's every vote, every certifiable, verifiable ballot that must be counted. The ones that are not certifiable are not verifiable. That don't have chain of custody cannot be counted. We know they did this as part of information warfare to try to break the spirits of the Trump movement, the people that voted for Trump. Walk through the statistical reasons why you say it's too early to call this, given everything that's out there.
Right. So they would never do this in any other case. And it's important to remember that this was a change. We hit our electoral system with such a massive change that it really wasn't designed for this. So we should have expected these kinds of anomalies and these kinds of differences. You look in Georgia, for instance, there are only two reasons for undervotes like that. One could be ballot design. The other one could be a red flag. But without even getting into that, I mean, Steve, the bottom line is these court cases could impact huge numbers of votes. I don't know if you guys are showing the screen, but in Pennsylvania alone, we're talking about 34,000 votes. That's it. That is 1/3 of one contested issue. That's all. So if that would have that one challenge would have the implication of changing the result of the election. So there is no credible reason not to let the process play out. There's just not. And that takes provisionals off the table. I'm not even addressing that. So that's a whole nother element. There really, in my mind, it's about as credible as calling Arizona on election night without the rest of the vote being counted. And now look at where we are 5 days later almost with Arizona. It's a coin flip. So we have a process. There's a reason why you take your time to sort it out. The media isn't a legal authority. They're supposed to wait and be responsible, and they're not doing this. They're not doing this correctly.
Let's go back. Let's go to Georgia real quickly. We got a couple of minutes left. I know you got to bounce at noon. Let's go to Georgia. What is happening there? Because this is now gone off the skids, even from last night when we left the show yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, we were talking about 2,000 votes in Georgia. There is a lot of concern, too, now in Georgia that they had the same software issues that we saw in Michigan, which is something that hasn't been ironed out yet. One county out of 47 has been ironed out. That's it. Now there's concern over that. But the ballots were 2,000. That would not have been enough for Joe Biden to overcome what was likely an overwhelming absentee ballot vote from military ballots, or at least it would have put it in recount territory. And now there was another 5,000 that came in. So we always expect ballots to trickle in, but it's getting a little out of hand.
When did the Secretary of State given any heads up on when they're going to actually wrap up Georgia?
That was supposed to be today. But I'm not sure now.
Because
those military ballots.
Yeah. That'll be a recount and a recanvass. What about Arizona? If we continue to trend, we're now down around 20. We still got over 100,000, almost 200,000 out. We don't even know if that counts provisionals. What I know, Arizona has a very tight law. I think it's like 500 votes or something for a recount, but
1/10 of 1%.
1/10 of 1%.
Well, there's multiple reasons that could trigger it. It's 1/10 of 1%, or depending on how many total votes cast, if there's a certain number of votes that separate it. So there are multiple ways this could end in a recount. It depends really. It really does depend on how this next dump in Maricopa breaks. Wouldn't be surprised if it is 1/10.
We got about 2 minutes left. I just want to do Nevada real quickly. What about Nevada before you go?
Nevada, Washoe, what we got out of Washoe was actually not that bad. It was just a couple thousand votes so far. It wasn't that bad for the president, but really he needed it to tighten, not widen. What's doing it is Clark. There's some more stuff just trickling in from Clark County. That's what's widening out Biden's margin. But we've seen nothing from Douglas.
But it's more than trickling in. I mean, Clark County had reported they were done a couple of days ago, and you just see Clark County continue to come up with ballots. I mean, this is the thing that's frustrating, and this is why you've got to get lawsuits. There's already 3,200 ballots for criminal referral to the Justice Department about being people that don't live in the state anymore, and that Grinnell tells me that's just the start, right? They think they've got 10,000 or more. So this is.
I was just going to say that actually we heard it's a lot, Steve. It was 6, then it was 10. I mean, there are real problems in this election, folks. There are a lot of serious irregularities and disparities, and it needs to play out.
I don't know if this number is good, but New York Times is reporting that only 6% of Nevada counties have actually reported their absentee votes, and they said that the ones that they have reported broke 88% to 9% for Trump. So that's probably going to be another issue as well.
We got to get in all that. Okay.
Well, they may mean 6% is in the total number of counties. That makes sense to me, actually, because we have all this
one
rural
of
vote
17
out.
counties has reported them.
So, Richard, thank you very much. How do people what's your Twitter handle, and how do people get to your website?
Sure, they can follow the results at peoplespunditdaily.com, and they can follow me on Twitter at peoples_pundit.
Richard Barris, thank you very much for joining us, taking time away from the family here on The War Room. Thank you very much, sir. Okay,
all the best.
Time to saddle up, ladies and gentlemen. I told you you're going to have good days, and you have days that are less good. What did we say yesterday afternoon? This could be a tough weekend, right? They're gonna put in big time information and psychological warfare. It started, but hang on. The cavalry has arrived. Back in a second.